All right, so we're going to talk about understanding functions. So the first thing we need to look at is the definition of a function. The definition of a function is a relation. So everything has to do with relationships in functions. So relation in which each input has only one output. So when we talk about input are x values and output is your y values. So we're going to determine whether each function is, or each relation is a function. So the first one, we look at, do any of the x values repeat? If none of the x values repeat, then it is a function. So yes, none of the x values repeat. Next one, we look at the same thing. So I have 3, 4, -3, -8. If I were to have two arrows going from one of them, then it would not be a function, but this one does not. So it is, so because none of the x values repeat. If you're not familiar of what this is called, this is called a map. So if you're asked later on to show a map of something, it's the two ovals. All right, and finally again, I have 2, 3, 2, and 4. So this one is no. The 2 repeats. Another way to determine if something is, or a relation is a function is using a vertical line test. So if any vertical line passes through no more than 1 point, so no more than 1 point of the graph of a relation, then the relation is a function. So what we're going to do is this has to go through every single point. So if you pick somewhere and it happens to only go through 1 point, but you can pick somewhere else on it and it goes through more than 1 point, then it's never going to be a function. So let's look at number 4. If I do the vertical line test, it passes through twice, so no. Number 5, I do one here, it passes once. If I do a vertical line anywhere on this graph, it will always only pass once. So yes, it's a function. And my last one, it passes through twice, so no. Number 7, the high jumpers at a track meet are wearing numbers on their uniforms. Each of the 5 high jumpers on the team made one jump. The height cleared by each athlete is shown in the table. So we're going to use a mapping diagram like I talked about earlier. So using to represent the relation. If you're not sure which one you use as the x and which one you use as the y, when you look at a table, the first one listed is always going to be your x. So our athlete numbers are, might have been easier if I just draw the numbers first and then draw the oval. So my numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I have the heights cleared, and I'm going to put them in numerical order. So I have 139, 143, 145, and 151. Those are the only heights used. 1 goes to 145. 2 goes to 143. 3 goes to 139. 4 goes to 151. And 5 goes to 151. You will notice that 2 of them go through, have the same height, but did the x values repeat? So the x values did not repeat. So yes, it is a function. The x values did not repeat. So suppose the inputs are the heights cleared by the athletes and the outputs. So we're doing the opposite. So if I were to do it opposite, so 139, 143, 145, 151, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm making a map, but we're doing the x as the opposite one. So 139 goes to the 3. The 143 goes to the 2. The 145 goes to the 1. And the 151 goes to 4 and 5. So this one would not be a relation because 151 repeats. Because this time, 151 is your x, or your input. All right, a tank contains 8 gallons of water. Water is then pumped into the tank at a rate of 2 gallons per minute. The total amount of water in the tank, y gallons, is a function of the number of minutes x that water has been pumped into the tank. So write an algebraic equation. So remember, our algebraic equation is y equals mx plus b. Well, in this case, our rate is 2. So our m is 2. And it starts with 8 gallons, so that was our starting point. So y equals 2x plus 8. So this is our algebraic equation. So if we were to make a table of x and y values, and we're going to start at 0 and go up to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, at 0, there are 8 gallons still, right? And it increases by 2 each time. So 10, 12, 14, 16. Use the table to plot a graph. All right, so my time is my x, right? And this is in minutes. And then so this is water in gallons. So it goes 0 and then up by ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my gallons goes up by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So at 0, it's at 8, and it goes up by 2 each time. We have made a relation. If I were to ask you if this is a function, you could tell me that yes, it is, because it would pass the vertical line test.